similar to those described in the Book of Mormon.
In agricultural societies, there are certain times of the year where you have to plant and you have to harvest crops. And this is very important because if you don't take advantage of that time of the year, you're going to run into trouble.
Warfare in the Book of Mormon, for example, is almost always conducted in the 2nd or the 11th months of the year.
If your populace was under arms constantly, that meant your crop didn't get sown properly, and that meant starvation for the population as a whole. So warfare often brought with it famine in its wake.
And interestingly, it is precisely in Mesoamerica where the 2nd and the 11th months are the months where farmers would have the time and the climate would be right to allow for warfare to occur.
The sacred calendar governs all of life, and that includes kings and peasants.
Ancient societies were closely aligned with their calendars in terms of establishing their holy days.
We read in the text of this extraordinarily bold stroke of Teancum to sneak inside of the Lamanite army's camp and to kill the king on New Year's Day.
Malachi's forces are trying to get into the land northward, and Teancum's forces stop them. We know that Teancum's forces were kind of an elite, ancient equivalent of a Green Beret.
The king was expected on New Year's Day to perform certain rituals that essentially became a secondary coronation. And when the king is killed on the day before that secondary coronation, the entire religious and political structure is thrown into disarray and chaos and confusion, allowing then a counterattack at that moment to be doubly effective.
It would have been terribly disconcerting for an ancient people to wake up on New Year's Day and find that their king had been killed somehow during the night. This would have been a terrible psychological shock, not merely the killing of the king, but at that season of the year. This means things have gone terribly wrong. The cosmos is out of kilter.
For the king to die on the day when he should have been celebrated would have left the Lamanite soldiers not only leaderless in a military sense, but certainly feeling that the signs of heaven were against them.
The people in the king's camp are overcome by the heat and the labors and the fatigue of the day. And yet it's New Year's, which tells you something. If the heat of the day did them in, at New Year's time, we're not talking about upstate New York, or we're not talking about our normal calendar. Probably both. We're probably talking about a place that's very different from the area that Joseph Smith knew, and a calendar that's different from our calendar, because New Year's Day is hot. It's so hot that it leaves people just drained of energy and exhausted in their camp.
Now, for Joseph Smith to build the story of Teancum into his narrative and make it true to what we now know of ancient societies in America is extraordinary. I mean, what person living in upstate New York has figured this out? Nobody.